There's some videos you just start filming and you wonder, was this a bad idea? This is one of those videos. But I've already done my cursory 2 hours of research, so here we go. Today, we're talking about Itachi, and we've talked about Itachi a lot on this page. He's one of the most popular characters in Naruto, which is the most popular anime on this page we talk about. So yeah, I'm gonna ride that horse till it dies. But usually we have glowingly good things to say about Itachi. I mean, he's an incredible character. How could you not have good things to say about him? But today is the day that I express my true feelings on the class favorite ninja from Naruto, Itachi. But before I get to stuffing my entire foot in my mouth, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you want to see a video of me literally putting my entire foot in my mouth, go ahead and hit that join button and become a member of the Weeb Alliance over here on YouTube. You'll be getting 3 additional videos from me a month, as well as cool emotes and badges, and not actually a video of me putting my entire foot in my mouth. I can't do that on this platform. So with no further ado, I give to you, was Itachi stupid? I know, obviously, Itachi is a genius in all the ways that truly matter in the ninja world. He was a genin at 6 years old, a chunin at 8, an Anbu member at 10, an Anbu captain at 12. I mean, Danzo and Hiruzen had to lie about his age because you can't technically be an Anbu captain until you're 13. He had the second highest ever scores in the Ninja Academy behind Minato, and he was so insanely strong at the age of 13 he was able to wipe out his entire clan, which was one of the strongest clans in the Naruto verse. So if all of these points are pointing in the direction of legitimate genius, what am I talking about? I'll tell you, there are multiple times, and I mean like quite literally almost 10 times throughout Naruto's history where Itachi made the blatantly wrong choice. More so than any other character in the Naruto verse. And there's really no way to talk about them in a list other than chronologically, so why don't we crack on into it? So I've covered a couple of Itachi's accolades about how he accomplished a lot of the things that kids don't accomplish till they're much older at a very young age. And that's all well and good, but the thing is, the speed at which he achieved these accomplishments might have been the reason that he constantly made the wrong decision. I mean, I'll say it once again, when he wiped out his entire clan, he was 13. He took the Chunin exams at 8 years old by himself. He was recruited to the Anbu, which is a team basically built for assassinations of political figures of outside of Konoha, at 10, and put in charge of his own team on the Anbu at 12. This is, for all intents and purposes, a child. Naruto, Sasuke, still genin when they were 12, while Itachi was holding the highest rank one can hold as a ninja in Konoha, Anbu captain. So while I am about to jump into all the things I believe Itachi did wrong, I believe we can chalk up a lot of these issues and misjudgments to the fact that he was 13. For the first 6 years of Itachi's life, he was fine. The Nine Tails was unleashed, he became an older brother to Sasuke, he saved his mother during the Nine Tails attack, became a genin, all these kinds of things, nothing wrong with that. Problem kind of arose after the Nine Tails attack. Because the Nine Tails attacked and the village as a whole believed that the Uchiha had something to do with it, the Uchiha got moved to the outskirts of the village. And this made the Uchiha very upset, and justifiably, because they wanted to help suppress the Nine Tails. They weren't the ones who released it, which is actually a very legitimate thing to be upset about. Like, imagine that you were trying to help put out a fire, but people wouldn't let you help put out the fire because they thought you were the one who lit it, but you're the only person with a bucket of water. And then when the fire eventually does get put out, much slower than it would have been put out if you had helped with your bucket of water, it gets blamed on you and you get kicked out of the village. I'd be pretty upset about that. Simply because you had a box of matches in your apartment, people believe that you were the only person capable of releasing said fire. And that judgment isn't necessarily fair. But regardless, the Uchiha clan becomes upset with the state of affairs in Konoha, and they start to meet in private talking about how they're going to change the village. At this point in time, once again, Itachi isn't necessarily doing anything wrong. He's just out taking the Chunin exams, being incredible at everything he does. It's when Itachi is recruited into the Anbu that the bad decisions start to occur. Fugaku, Itachi's father, also makes a poor decision here because he sees Itachi's promotion into the Anbu as an opportunity for his son to spy on the higher-ups of Konoha. Fugaku essentially is trying to radicalize his own son in order to have a foothold in the upper echelon of Konoha. He's trying to radicalize a son who he brought to a battlefront when he was 4 years old to show him the carnage of the Third Great Ninja War and made that son into a pacifist. See, because Itachi's only motivation for becoming a ninja was in order to gain so much strength that he could impart his will upon the world and make it peaceful. So after Fugaku propositions Itachi with being a spy for his own clan, Itachi decides to take this information to Hiruzen and become a spy for Hiruzen. And while this does technically live up to the ideology of the Senju of taking your village pride over your clan pride, I think it's genuinely a very bad idea, because Hiruzen isn't the only person who's going to be receiving this information. Danzo will also be getting it. And Danzo will do anything in order to preserve what he believes is peace in Konoha. He has been for decades. So identifying Itachi's penchant for murder, his ability, and his willingness to turn on his own clan, Danzo brings him into the fold of the root. Second mistake, because Danzo was going to use this as an opportunity to A, clear out a group of people he didn't particularly love, and B, acquire a mass amount of cells from an entire clan in the form of Sharingan that he wanted to experiment on. If Itachi is a supposed genius, he should probably be able to ascertain that Danzo is not the person to be dealing with, and he should have in fact been talking to Hiruzen, who he was already a spy for. But somehow in this mix-em-up, Itachi became an asset for Danzo, not Hiruzen. Hiruzen, the person who had stepped down as Hokage in order to end the Third Great Shinobi World War and preserve peace, while Danzo was actively known as the person who made Hiruzen step down because he wanted the Third Great Shinobi World War to continue. But Itachi is a pacifist, and a well-known pacifist. So why would he circumvent Hiruzen, who was a known pacifist, and give information to Danzo, who was a warmongerer? I don't know. Him working with Danzo makes even less sense when you consider the fact that Itachi wasn't the only Uchiha turning his back to the Uchiha. No, Shisui was also an Anbu member who was helping spy on the Uchiha for the village, but he was also working for Danzo. Mind you, this entire time Hiruzen is looking for a peaceful resolution between the village and the Uchiha clan. But Shisui decides that the only way for him to avoid this coup is to use Kodowa Matsukame on Fugaku. Kodowa Matsukame being Shisui's genjutsu ability and his Sharingan to rewrite a person's entire personality without even making eye contact with them. And this was a good idea. If Shisui had changed the ideology of Fugaku, that could have swung the clan's ideology toward that of peace. Only problem is, Shisui told this to Danzo, a plan that Itachi himself very much approved. But here's the thing about Kodowa Matsukame, it has a 10-year cooldown, and Danzo really wanted that ability, because once again, I will remind you, he looks at the Uchihas as an infinite clan of possibilities for him to increase power in his own body. So instead of letting the coup not happen, which would have stopped his ability to harvest the eyes of every single member of the Uchiha, and to make sure that the Kodowa Matsukame wouldn't go inactive for 10 years, Danzo said, I don't think that's gonna work, Shisui, and plucked his right Kodowa Matsukame out of his face. Shisui is then able to get away from Danzo, and he meets up with Itachi. See, the plan to use Kodowa Matsukame on Fugaku was to happen that night, the night that Shisui met up with Danzo. Shisui was supposed to meet up with Danzo, then go to the Uchiha clan meeting, use Kodowa Matsukame, and then report back to Itachi. But Shisui got there way too early, and lacking one eyeball. And it's at this point that another baffling decision gets made. You see, Danzo just committed an act of treason against one of the most powerful people in the village. Somebody who should have been able to hold their own against Danzo, but was ambushed by Yoji Aburame. You see, the problem with being ambushed by Yoji Aburame, one of Danzo's personal favorite root members, is that he was one of the strongest Aburame ever. In that he had access to a bug that was the size of a mosquito, almost imperceptible, and if it bit you, it paralyzed and poisoned you fatally. But this is a poison that the Aburames almost definitely have an antidote for, because I'm paraphrasing a quote from Kurapika and Hunter x Hunter here. As a poison user, you have no leverage unless you have the antidote. If you poison somebody, you can't extract information out of them unless you offer the antidote. And while Shisui's chances of survival were slim to none, even if they had gone to look for an antidote, the fact that as the group, their decision was for Itachi to murder Shisui in order to awaken his own Mangekyo Sharingan instead of, I don't know, bringing Shisui's body to Hiruzen as evidence against Danzo, or even looking looking for the antidote like I equated to earlier is kind of ridiculous to me. Also, technically, Shisui still could have gone to the Uchiha clan meeting and used Koto on Fugaku. Or let's say Shisui simply can't make it that far and Itachi does murder Shisui. Cool, you still have his Koto in your hand. Don't put it in a crow and have it fly away, slap it in your own face, and go use it against Fugaku. I know technically Shisui was the person who called the crow and put the Sharingan inside of it and told it to follow Itachi anywhere he went, but he could have just asked Shisui for the eye, because by stopping the plan of using Koto on Fugaku, they're essentially listening to Danzo. And I know what you're saying,
Well, yeah, but Danzo now has a Koto Matsukame.
kill Danzo. You think Itachi couldn't do it? He kills Yoji Aburame like 12 pages later. He puts the bugs in his body in Tsukiyomi, so he's just stuck standing still, and then he Amaterasu's him. It's crazy. But that's not even the worst part, because now Shisui has blatantly been betrayed by Danzo and also killed. And you know what Itachi does? He keeps working with Danzo. In fact, he doubles down on working with Danzo. Danzo's just kind of like,
Yeah, that's what you get for thinking outside of the box. I killed your best friend.
and Itachi's like, yeah, you're right. And then doubles down on spying on the Uchiha, reporting information to him, and then subsequently agreeing to murder them all. Because as time progresses, Danzo realizes that the coup is on its way. So he reaches out to Itachi and he says, listen,
You can either have your clan participate in this coup and get massacred, or you can kill every single one of your clan members except for Sasuke.
but here's the thing, on the other side of the argument table, Fugaku is asking Itachi to restrain Konoha's higher ups using his genjutsu so there can be a bloodless revolution. While there's a wild misconception out there that Fugaku wanted to release the Nine Tails in order to accomplish the coup, that's not the truth. Fugaku wanted to restrain Konoha's higher-ups and bloodlessly take over the village because he loved the village. And he would have been an incredible Hokage, but he was snuffed by Minato. So on one end of the table, Fugaku is saying, I want a peaceful revolution. And on the other side of the table, Danzo is saying, kill everyone you know and love. Itachi, a pacifist, chose the murder route. You see, essentially Itachi thought that if there was a coup inside of Konoha, that other villages would use it as an opportunity to attack Konoha, and that would result in a world war. But mind you, at this point, we are 8 years removed from the Third Great Ninja War. The Hidden Cloud just lost the third Raikage and tens of thousands of soldiers. The Hidden Stone lost an entire battalion to Minato alone. Granny Chiu has retired from the Hidden Sand, Sasori has defected, and the Hidden Mist is in the deepest, darkest part of the Blood Mist Village arc. They are much too focused on killing each other. In fact, the Hidden Mist had just gone through an attempted coup that Zabuza and Kisame were a part of, and nobody attacked them. And if it was bloodless, the coup would be over in a day. But okay, now we get to the boiling point. The coup's date is planned, and Danzo has offered the ultimatum. Why didn't Itachi reach out to Hiruzen, or Fugaku for that matter? Inform Hiruzen that Danzo is telling you to assassinate your entire clan. Tell Fugaku that the higher-ups are planning to assassinate your entire clan. Say that you're in on the scheme and that it is a possibility. Use that as a way to get both sides to the bargaining table. Itachi is strong enough to eradicate the entire Uchiha clan. That means he's probably strong enough to eradicate a large part of Konoha. He'd be like, hey, what if I don't choose a side and just kill indiscriminately and make Hiruzen and Fugaku finally sit down, or just run away with Sasuke? If the only person you want to protect is Sasuke, just pick him up and leave. Come back in 10 years, see if things have worked themselves out. That way, you're not the one murdering your clan if they need to get murdered. And oh, Sasuke is safe. And he doesn't have to grow up without parents or friends. And you don't have to get him to hate you by using Tsukiyomi on him and having him see his parents get murdered 700,000 times. Seems like a chiller childhood to me. And now you get to spend time with a little brother you wanted to spend time with.
Oh, but Itachi was loyal loyal to his village.
Don't be. There's a difference between loyalty and idiocy. If I signed up for the US Army and they were like, your first mission is to massacre your entire hometown, I'd be like, no thanks, I'll pay my own college debt. And then there's the fact that Itachi saw Obito snooping around the Uchiha hideout and just naturally assumed it was Madara. So he was like, hey, I can help you get revenge on the Uchihas for casting you out if you just don't take your revenge on the entire village. Essentially, Itachi was afraid that Madara was snooping around Konoha in order to destroy Konoha, because he knew that Madara had been cast out by the Uchihas. So basically, he approached who he thought was Madara and was like, can we just get revenge against the Uchihas in order to spare the village? But if he knew that Madara had been cast out of Konoha, he should have known why. You see, Madara got thrown out of Konoha because he thought the Uchihas should run Konoha. Why would he want to kill the people he wanted to run the village? I mean, he did want to kill them because he was Obito, and we need to talk about why Obito was so willing to kill all of the Uchihas at some point or another. Like, Obito had a mother and a father that were probably there and he probably killed. To this day, never made sense to me. Regardless, this man has recruited Madara Uchiha to his side and wasn't like,
Could use this as a bargaining chip for peace.
like, hey, Hiruzen, the strongest thing we ever made is back in the village. Maybe we have a talk. Maybe we get to live a little bit closer to downtown. And then, yeah, he murdered his whole clan. And he threatened Danzo with a shadow clone. He was like, you better stay away from my brother. When he could have just taken his brother. And then he became a spy for the Akatsuki, where he did way more than spy, like killing Yagura. Like, I get that you're trying to sell the role of you being in the group, but Juzo, Itachi's partner, and hypothetically the only person who could snitch on Itachi should he have, I don't know, let Yagura go, was cut in half during this fight. Like, boy, did he really fit into the Akatsuki, and he sold the hell out of that role, but at the same time, he helped them. And speaking of the Akatsuki, why didn't he kill Orochimaru? Orochimaru snuck up on Itachi and tried to take over his body in order to get the Sharingan. But Itachi, being drastically stronger than Orochimaru, flipped the script on Orochimaru and put him in Genjutsu. And as Orochimaru stood there motionless, instead of killing Orochimaru, he sliced off Orochimaru's hand so he couldn't snap out of the Genjutsu. What? Decapitate him? It's now been established that Orochimaru wants a body with the Sharingan, because he just tried to take yours and made it very clear as to why he was taking your body. There is two other people on Earth with a Sharingan. Kakashi, who Orochimaru is not going to grab. Sasuke, your 12-year-old brother. You are so concerned about protecting Sasuke from Danzo that after the Konoha Crush arc, you return to Konoha to show the village you're still around, and yet you don't eliminate the #1 threat for Sasuke's health.
But Nick Kabuto came and saved Orochimaru.
Oh no, pre-Sage Mode Kabuto, whatever will Itachi do? Also, I will reiterate, Itachi took the time to cut off Orochimaru's hand. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot this. Itachi killed Fugaku, right? Fugaku had a Mangekyo Sharingan, and also the coolest looking one in the entire show. If you're gonna go be a spy for the Akatsuki and you want to help Konoha from the shadows, and more importantly, stop, I don't know, a Mangekyo Sharingan from falling in the hands of Danzo, why not take Fugaku's eyes? It would have given him EMS. And I know he had a sickness that eventually killed him, and he took medicine in order to make sure that he would live long enough so Sasuke could kill him one day, but it's also explicitly stated that overuse of his Mangekyo Sharingan expedited the fatal illness, because he was frequently fighting Jinchuriki, for which he would either need Tsukiyomi Amaterasu or a Susanoo. If he had had an EMS, he would have lived a significantly longer time. But since we're talking about Itachi's death, let's talk about Itachi's death. Itachi met with Naruto when he knew his time was coming. He told Naruto he was on his side, that he loved Sasuke, and all these other things. And it's at this point that Itachi does one of the most mind-numbingly dumb things he's done in his entire life. He takes the Kodowa Matsukame, which he still has living in a crow, and he shoves it into Naruto's mouth, but not before he programs the Kodowa Matsukame to activate whenever it sees Itachi's eyes. And he programs that Kodowa Matsukame to make whoever these eyes are in loyal to Konoha. So Itachi takes the Koto Matsukame away from himself and puts it into Naruto, hoping one day he'll bump into Sasuke, who will have taken Itachi's eyes after Sasuke has killed Itachi. Small problem there. After Sasuke has killed Itachi, implying that before Naruto sees Sasuke, Itachi would see Sasuke. Why not just use Koto on Sasuke when you see him? If we're gonna brainwash our younger siblings, do it before you die. If you're gonna lead Sasuke to you, but not to Naruto, why wouldn't you do the guaranteed path? Because surprise, surprise, Naruto doesn't bump into Sasuke. Naruto bumps into Itachi when Itachi has been reincarnated. I mean, sure, Itachi then calls the crow out of Naruto and then uses that crow's Koto to unwrite Kabuto's brainwash on him. That's not what Itachi planned. All of it baffles me. And listen, I don't want you guys to think I don't love Itachi. I do. I made a 35-minute video detailing his entire life and how much I adore what he stood for. But just because I love him doesn't mean I can't point out the flaws. And if you guys now see some flaws in your favorite character, A, I apologize, but B, I don't know, maybe like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. I'm sorry. And if you accept my apology, go ahead and hit that join button, become a member of the Weeb Alliance over here on YouTube. I'm gonna get canceled, aren't I? Listen, I'm not saying Itachi's not smart. He's smarter than me. I can barely make fireballs on the stove.